have the great honor today of speaking with Manal Tamimi. Manal is, hold on one moment. Manal is an activist and a feminist, and commonly known as a Palestinian supermom. She studied international law at Al-Quds University. She's a member of the Popular Struggle Coordination Committee, and she's been arrested numerous times, which I'll be asking her about, and also been injured numerous times by the Israeli military, and also had to witness her children being arrested and imprisoned by the Israeli military. And we'll be talking about that more. But Manal, it is such an honor to have this conversation with you and to get to see you.
Thanks, dear, and it's a pleasure to talk with you again and see you in this very difficult circumstances worldwide due to COVID-19 virus, with everything happening here in the area. So it's a pleasure to meet you again.
So let's start with that. There's this worldwide pandemic, and Palestine is used to having numerous solidarity activists come in and support the struggle from around the world, as well as Palestinian citizens of Israel and Israeli activists. And now we're in this pandemic, but Israel's system of apartheid is not taking a break. I can't imagine they're taking a break. What's it like on the ground right now?
Actually, I think we are now going through the worst period through the Palestinian resistance history. And I think this pandemic, it brought the worst of the people. Now everybody around the world are busy with their own problems and nobody paying attention to what's really going on in Palestine. And even if they want, there's nothing much to know about this due to that the border closure, that nobody are able to come here to see what's going on the ground. Israel with this, it take advantage with this crisis, and they began to put reality on the ground, and they began to accelerate the implementation of the deal of the century. So now it's kind of hidden implementation. So actually people, they think, okay, now BA and Israel both are busy with the COVID-19, but actually if you go to the north, to Qalqilia, Tul Karim, to South Hebron Hills, if you go to Jordan Valley, you will find changes. More Palestinian communities are destroyed, more lands have been confiscated, more new settlements or new like cores of settlements, it began to show up. So and as Palestinian, we have nothing to do more than just keep exposing. But actually, most of the, or we can say that people are now busy with their own business. So sometimes they are, okay, we are with Palestine, but there's nothing more to do. They can't do any sit-ups, any protest, any... So actually it became the solidarity and activism, it turned to be from being on the ground directly, it became to be online through Zoom meetings, through social media, through, so it's good thing, but it's not everything.
Absolutely. And in the midst of this pandemic, there have been the threats of annexation from Netanyahu. And now we have this New Deal between Israel and the UAE, which I would say is nothing more than a sham. But I would love to hear what the response is on the ground.
As I said, it says before that this pandemic, it limits our response. And actually, there is first that BA, they have nothing in their hands to do. They more than just making a few like sit-ins in Nablus, in Ramallah, in Jerusalem against this deal. And what makes it worse that the Arab country silence. Because in 2002, actually, the whole Arab countries during the summit in Beirut in 2002, and they agreed to the initiative of Saudi Arabia, which says that all the Arab countries, they can normalize with Israel after they gave back the 1967 borders. But actually, that was like the green line for the Arab countries that, okay, go to normalize with Israel, because everybody knows that Israel, they will never go back to 67 borders. So it was like that, okay, now we can do whatever we want. And during that summit or that conference, Sharon, he blocked Abu Ammar and he didn't let him to go to Beirut. And he gave his speech through a message, a recorded message to this summit, which gave the impression that Palestine actually, it's a visualized country, it's not a real one. And he's the lead, here is the leader of Palestine. He just give you like a record message. And if we go back to the history, we will see that actually normalization, it was there since years and years. It's not a new thing. And we're not surprised about like now to talk about or to sign this agreement. We are surprised about the timing itself and the justification itself, because in 2018 the Israeli Prime Minister, the Israeli Minister of Culture, Miri Regeva, she went to Dubai. She prayed she went inside the mosque for the first time. The Israeli team, it was saying there. So it was 2 years ago that it began to go to the surface, but actually it was years and years before. So the justification, it was so silly that what Dubai did, it was because of stopping or blocking the road to Israel, that Israel won't be able to implement the annexation plan. But actually, in the same time they declared this, Netanyahu immediately said that, no, we are going on in the annexation plan, and this agreement, it wasn't about this, it was about the relation between the two countries. So actually, they just try to use Palestine in a way to justify their betrayal for the Islam, for the Arab, for the Palestinian history.
Absolutely. Now, you said in the beginning, and I know this is the case, that even throughout this pandemic, land theft is continuing, settlement growth is continuing. How do you view annexation as a concept compared to daily life?
Actually, we are already losing a lot through the world silence toward the Israeli crimes. But with this annexation plan, that means that Palestine is gonna be divided to countries, actually, not to areas, especially that this annexation plan gonna kill the what it's called the two-state solution, which is already dead. Uh, Now we are losing more lands. We are losing, especially in Jordan Valley, because as you know that Jordan Valley is the vegetable basket for Palestine. So actually we are losing very important resources for food, for underground water. Bedouin community are forced to transfer from their areas. And as you know that in Jordan Valley, they are small communities living in different areas, and most of them they are living from either they planting or in agriculture or by raising livestock or animals. So now they gonna lose uh, their life or their resources, their economy, if we can say, which is also gonna have a bad impact on dividing West Bank, that there will be only settlers roads more than it already there. We won't be able to go, for example, to Jordan Valley or to Hebron, or it will be divided to different cantons and different islands. And also that there's no Palestinian economy, but the small part of the economy we try to implement and try to develop, it will be destroyed by this. And we can see that Israel working in a hidden way to make people believe that this annexation plan is the best, or it's better for Palestinian than BA. And if you are following what's really going on in Palestine now, you will find that since nearly 2 weeks or 3 weeks, Israel opened the borders between the Green Line and the Green Line between occupied 94, 48 and West Bank. So people, they just ran inside to occupied 48 to see their sea, the sea, to see Yafa, Haifa, all these areas that most of them, they never been. Many people I met, they said that it was the first time that we were able to go to the sea or to see it. And I'm talking about people who are 40, 45, 35, not young. So this gives the impression that, okay, the sea is very beautiful. Yafa is very beautiful. Acre is very beautiful, and it deserves to go there like every week or every weekend. Okay, and BA, they have no right to stop us, or so now they began to blame BA, Palestinian Authority, that they are the one who making Palestinian lives harder, not the occupation itself. So it's kind of make the image of the occupation more beautiful through this. It's simple things, but it has a big impact on our resistance.
So I would love to take us back to your village and what happened there, what annexation and the occupation looked like there. Nabi Saleh is encroached upon by a particularly hateful and violent settlement bloc, the Halamish settlement. And in 2009, they took over your water spring, which I one of the times I was there, I had the pleasure of trying to visit. Could you tell us, how, give us the story of Nabi Saleh when the settlement was built?
Nabi Saleh, it's a Palestinian village suffering from the occupation since 1967, when the Israeli occupation began in the West Bank. Since that time, we are losing the village lands, and we lost nearly 2/3 of the village lands due to different justification. So at the beginning, it was it's a state land, because there is Ottoman law, which Israel using, saying that if the Palestinian landowner doesn't work in their lands for 3 years, they declare it a state land. So it was a good excuse to stealing lands without legally, if we can say, or under the law. Also, they have this law that Palestinian who fled Palestine during 1948, they lost their right and they lost their Palestinian citizenship. So it was another excuse to take the lands. In 1976, actually she's a woman, a Belgian woman. She came and she decided to take over a police station since the British mandate, and she decided to build her own community. Since that time, they began to steal the village land, and they began to establish the settlement, making it bigger and bigger. The worst of all that, now the settlement, at the beginning it was like far away from the village. It's not far away, it's like 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers away, but now it began to have direct impact on the village. So now we're not allowed to build the new houses, or even to add to our old ones. We're not allowed to work in the lands, to cultivate the lands. We're not allowed to do anything or to make any changes, because they said that everything you are doing, it has an impact on settlers, and the expansion of the village, putting settlers' life under risk. The spring, which was confiscated in 2009, actually it wasn't the first spring it was confiscated. We have another 2 springs, but it was the spark for the nonviolent resistance, that if we kept silent, we will keep losing our rights, our existence, our future, and our history. So we have to do something. That's when we decided to begin our nonviolent resistance. Unfortunately, due to this choice, we lost 4 people from the village, 4 young people. We have more than 560 injuries. We have 12 demolishing orders for houses built since the 60s, but it was kind of collective punishment. We have around 37 houses have been partially burned by gas canisters. We have more than 250 persons was arrested. 77 of them are children under 18. 10 of them are children under 14 years old. What's really going on here, if you go all over West Bank, you go to the map, choose any village, any Palestinian village, you will find that they are living similar situation to what Nabi Saleh lives. This is kind of a strategy the Zionist authority using to make Palestinian lives harder. So it will be kind of silent transfer, that I want, okay, I'm fed up, I want to live normal life, especially for youth who are 18, 19, 20 years old. They want to live their life. So the best way is to immigrate or to leave Palestine, to go to any other country. And we can see this through the facilitating the immigration for youth. So as like if you are young, you can, I don't know, immigrate to Canada, to Sweden, to whatever. So they facilitate the immigration for youth without, normally they block people from traveling. But if you are 19, 20, 21, so you can live easily without any problems. Now we are facing hard time to convince this youth that if you keep running, you will spend your life running. So it's better to fight for what you have and create your own life that you want in your country, not as an immigrant in any country in the world.
Now, one of the things that I love the most about Nabi Saleh is that when you began your nonviolent resistance, your protests, you made a decision that the protests would be led by the women and the children of the village. How did that decision come about, and how has that been?
I can't say it was a decision because Nabi Saleh is a small community. We are one family, counted 500, 600 residents. So we used, since ever, since we opened our eyes, we found our parents and grandparents sharing everything together, and there were no these borders that you can see in other villages, between that women they have to do this, men they have to do that, and they are separated. And no, in Nabi Saleh we didn't have this line, and we don't have it until now. So everybody used to do everything together during wedding, if somebody dies, social life, and everything. And also women here, I think sometimes we are making jokes, and we are calling men that you have to begin your masculine movement, calling for your rights, not a feminism. You have to go to the other side and call for your rights, because Tamimi women, we have all our rights. We are calling. We can travel. We travel alone to study. I have many cousins who studied abroad in Europe, in the United States. They are living in Canada. They are living in Dubai, which is they are living. I don't know, in Jordan. A woman, she has the right to decide what she wants to do in her life, to go for PhD. We have around 30 women who's holding their master, and we have around 13 women holding PhD, and nearly 80% of the women, they are holding their bachelor or PA degree. So we are talking about an open community and a well-educated women and children. With this community that you can't separate that, okay, this movement, we want to begin resistance, nonviolent movement, so it's only men. So since the beginning, we had meetings. We used to do it every Tuesday. And this meetings, it was open for everybody, men, women, children, elders, anybody want to join. And anybody he has an idea, he can say it, even if he's a 3 years old child. As long as you are in Nabi Saleh, you are suffering from the occupation attacks and punishment for the village. So you have the right to give your opinion. And many times we had protest under threat team that children suggested we have to do this, we have to do that, and we were happy to do this protest. This is, I think, the reason why Nabi Saleh it became iconic name in the resistance, despite it's a very small village. Uh, Other places they suffer more than we us. Uh, we don't have separation wall to have an impact on our lives, but the way we resist to have women in the resistance gives other women in other places a motivation that, okay, if the Tamimi women can do it, we can do it. So we began to see women all over West Bank, from Jerusalem, from occupied 48, who began to join our protest. They began to go back to their from where they are talking about making similar protest, or even sometimes women they just come during the weekdays to, okay, we want to sit with Mimi women and we want to hear what they are thinking, how they do that, how they can help, how. So they began to learn from our experience, which is a good thing, because as long as you are under occupation, regardless your gender or your nationality or your religion, you will suffer from the occupation. So you have to know or to learn how to deal with it and how to manage life under occupation. Otherwise, you won't be able to live this life.
Certainly women around the world do all want to come and sit with the Tamimi women for good reason, but you also pay a very high price. Your sons have been arrested and imprisoned by Israel and injured at protests. What has that been like for you, and how are they right now?
Since I remember, I'm participating the resistance. My father, he lost his life while I was 72, 78 days old, and he was killed by the Israeli. After 2 months, my uncle, he also lost his life in Lebanon. And since that time, I lost nearly 22 person, very close relative, during the resistance. So resisting the occupation, it wasn't a choice for me. It was like a path that, this race that everybody gives the stake to somebody else that he will continue the race. I don't know what you call it, but it's like giving stakes to each other, so everybody will continue from the point that the previous player he stopped. Anyway, it's like this, that if we lose somebody, we should never give up. In the contrary, it will be a motivation for us to go on, because these people lost their lives to give us a better life. So we have to do the same, trying to give a better life for others. So I was ready for everything. The worst could happen. I could lose my life, and I was ready to go for that. I was arrested. I was shot once with silence from a sniper. So actually, it was kind of assassination. But didn't stop me until my two sons, they were arrested. There were 10 days in between their arrests. So at the beginning, they arrested Muhammad, who was 18 years old at that time, and then Osama, he was 21 years old. I think the worst nightmare any parents could go through is watching their children suffering and feeling that they are handcuffed. I know I thought that I was prepared for this because I knew at one point they're gonna arrest, or we will be arrest all of us. Everybody, he will serve some time in prison. They will be shot, and actually many times Muhammad, he has two bullets in his body, one in his leg, and the other one it's only like centimeter from the heart and is still in his body. Osama also, he lost his sight for few months because of a gas canister hit him in the eye. So I thought that I prepared them for this, but when it's became a reality, it's total different. You're not prepared at all. You feel that you are handcuffed. And the worst that normally when they arrest people from Nabi Saleh, they took them to interrogation center, interrogating them for like few hours, 5, 6, 8 hours. And then they send them to Ofar prison, which is the only Israeli prison in the West Bank, until their trial. They have court sessions. But what's happened with Osama and Muhammad, that they sent them directly to um, Petah Tikva, interrogation center inside occupied 48, and it's well known that it's one of the worst interrogation centers. They were underground for 25 days. They it's like 3 floors underground. There were no, they couldn't see sun. They were interrogating since 5 in the morning until 12 at night, every day. At one point, Osama, he was evacuated 2 times to the hospital because of the way they were tortured him. And Muhammad, he lost the sense of time, and also he have like he lost permanent memory lost, that uh, we were in the court and he couldn't recognize my mother. He was like who's this woman who was sitting there. It was one of the most difficult times I went through. You can deal with everything, but when it's related to your children, even if they are, Osama, he was 21, so he was a man. But for, you are a mother, doesn't matter how old they are, they will still toddlers who can't walk alone. We have to like to help them walking, to take them to their bed, whatever. I used to sleep in their beds every night, to sleep in one bed, like Osama's bed, Muhammad's beds, and because I want to be close to them, I couldn't be in real, so I want to be in spirit with them, even if just sleeping in their bed, or so I felt that okay, I'm so close to them. Uh, Thank God now both they are out. Osama, he spent 9 months in prison, and Muhammad, he spent 2 years. Now both they are out. After Muhammad, after he was released, few months after he was released, he was shot with a live bullet in the chest. He still need an urgent surgery to remove this bullet because it's nearly a centimeter from the heart. So he still need a surgery that they can do it here in Palestine. So he was supposed to travel in last March, to do this surgery. But as you see that this pandemic, it came and nobody could travel. The whole borders are closed. The Jordanian Palestinian borders are closed. We can't travel through Ben Gurion because we don't hold the Israeli citizenship. Through Gaza, of course, it's impossible to go there. So actually now we are living in a big open air prison.
Absolutely. And speaking of Gaza, I've been seeing that they're under attack again. If you could bring us up to date on Gaza right now.
Um, you know what's going on in Gaza, that every time Israel wants to gain something or to give a message to anybody, any Arab country, to the Palestinian Authority, they attack Gaza. So it's like when you are playing boxing, the boxing, what you call it?
Like a whack-a-mole, I think we call it. Yes.
Exactly. So when you are stressed and you feel depression, you go and you play some boxing, so you will relieve. And this is what's happened with Gaza. But Gaza, they are playing with people, with the human, with souls, with people, with the dreams, with plans for future, with hopes, with. So it's not a zoo. It's not it's not a PUBG that okay, you are playing with toys, with whatever, so you can live. No. So yeah, they are using Gaza to like a playing card, and this is the word. So now with after the agreement between Israel and UAE, now they are sending kind of a message to Qatar, because Qatar, they are funding or they are sending money every while to Gaza so they can stay alive. So it's I think it's kind of a message that now we want let you enter this money unless you have agreement. And we could see many Arab countries like Bahrain, we could see Egypt welcome this agreement. We could so we have many Arab countries who are supporting this agreement, which means that it just time to sign their own agreements. And I think Qatar, they will do it maybe directly after Bahrain or before, so they will be able, that their relationship with Hamas is very strong. So it will be excuse that we want to protect Hamas or the people there who's in Gaza as UAE annexation plan as excuse for their agreement.
So as these horrific things are happening, as we have this UAE-Israel agreement and are expecting more states to follow suit, and as Donald Trump has done so many damaging things to Palestinians since coming into office, from moving the embassy to recognizing the Golan Heights, and as the grips of occupation continue to tighten, what gives you hope and sustains you?
Oh.
The tough question.
It's a big question, actually.
It's a big question.
We are, as a Palestinian now, in the middle of election play. Donald Trump, he is pushing the Arab country, the Gulf country, to do these agreements because he has elections, and actually he loses in dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. He's losing a lot, and his people began to lose faith on him. And the same thing with Netanyahu. He has now, especially this agreement, it came when not the leftists, the right wing, they are very weak and they have their own business. So they began, he used this period to do this agreement so he will win the new elections. So as a Palestinian, actually we are in between and we only have truth and hope. So we can't lose hope. We have the truth that Palestinian state is a truth. It's not just a reality. It's there since we have history, we have culture, we have everything, and we have hope. Even as if we at one point we lose hope, and even we lost the dimension, or how it, like we lost the direction, we will find it, we will create one, we will keep creating hopes. Even if it's illusion, at one point it will be a reality and it will be a truth. So we can't lose hope. It's our only weapon. If you lose hope, you are weak. If you are weak, you will lose everything. So we're not allowed to do this. We are allowed to feel weakness for short time. We are human beings. We are not machines that we can go on forever. We're not Duracell. We don't have Duracell batteries. But, we are allowed. Otherwise, we won't be able to recharge ourselves, and we won't be able to go on resistance. So hope is a weapon. Hope is our strongest weapon that we can keep resisting and keep facing all the conspiracies against us as a Palestinian, from the world silence, Arab world betrayal, Israeli crimes, everything. Everybody is against us. So it's a challenge now. It's our challenge to show that we are strong and we can do it alone. We can free Palestine alone. We can liberate our land alone without the need of Arab money or the need of any fake support from anybody. So we can do it and we will do it.
So speaking of support that isn't fake, we have some exciting things going on here in the United States. More people are being elected to Congress who openly support boycotting Israel and openly support Palestinian rights. And just last week, Representative Betty McCollum, who had introduced the legislation to stop the arrest and abuse of Palestinian children, has introduced legislation to stop any U.S. funding for annexation activities. And folks can, as of tomorrow, we will have ways to contact your Congress member to get them to sign on to this legislation. So by tomorrow, you can go to codepink.org and we will have that action for you. And I want to ask you as well, Manal, if there are specific things that people can do to help the Palestinian cause and to help Nabi Saleh. And if you can also tell us how to follow you on Twitter and other places to find you.
I just want to say something. When I said fake, I didn't mean the people, because I know that people, most of people, they refuse their government's policies. But I was talking about the government, that they are doing it like Gulf country. They are saying that we are supporting Palestinian, but actually they're not doing things. So yeah, I'm following what's really going on, especially in the United States. And it's amazing the shifting of people support. During history, it was well known that Americans supporting Israel without any questioning why we are doing this, because they they thought that Israel, they are the oppressed country, and we are the like the vampires, we are the terrorists, and we are the people who are doing horrible things. This shifting means that people began to see the truth. They began to see the real image, the right image, that Palestinian, they are not terrorists, they are freedom fighters fighting for their rights, for their lives. This politician who began to show up supporting openly BDS, which was like a crime, supporting Palestinian rights, I think it shows that Americans began to lose faith in their historical governments, that all over the years they were changing names, not policies. We could see president's name change, but not policies. I think it's a baby step, but eventually it will get bigger day after day if they keep this. It's very important for us to see this change come from the people, not from the government, because people, they have the huge influence on their governments. Also, supporting BDS, it's very important as a tool of nonviolent resistance. Keep following what's really going on in Palestine. Open your eyes, like search for what's really going on in the Middle East. Middle East, it's not a war country, or the people living in Middle East, they're not criminals, or they have the instinct of killing. These wars and these deaths in the Middle East are created by the Western countries, especially United States. For me, it's easy to find me. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Screaming Tamimi, on Facebook as Manal Tamimi. In the last period, I wasn't very active on social media due to some personal issues, but nearly I keep posting about what's going on in Palestine, as a way of putting seeds in the minds about what's really going on here, to make people think, to okay, what is Palestine? Who is Palestinian? And you can see the attack at me on Twitter. This shows that, okay, they are afraid, or what I'm saying, it hits them in a way or another. That's why they keep attacking me. But anyway, I believe in what I'm doing, and I will keep doing it.
So many people believe in what you're doing. I want to thank you so much for joining us, and please give my love to your family, and please hold Osama and Muhammad tight, and continue to let us know all of the ways that we can support your work and Nabi Saleh and the Palestinian cause.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I know that Code Bank is very active organization. That's why it was blacklisted. But this means that it's in the right side. And good luck with everything. And be careful. It's not easy what you are doing. And I wish you all the luck.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone for joining us.